Welcome to episode 3, season 6 of A Brief History of Nothing. It's a week late and there's a reason for that, and James would like to explain.
We bought a camera. See, I know it looks, in our current camcorder, looks like we shoot in 1994. Okay, so it's not helping the YouTube thing very much. So we bought a better camera, which had a really nice picture and an external microphone, so we don't sound like this, which is what we currently sound like, right? Slight problem. The ad on eBay said it shot in MPEG.
Yes, what was that? Something...
It shoots, English is hard, it shoots in MOV, which is Apple's proprietary format.
Yes.
That is not an Apple Mac.
No. Nowhere on the ad for the camera did it say anything about MOV.
No. So it's completely, being a Windows user, it's completely useless to me, because I don't see, I'm smart enough not to buy an Apple.
Yes.
Just find it out in the comments below. Just you go for it. Just have that argument in the comments.
Yes. So, we shot all of last week's episode till when we found this out. So, that was useless to us. So,
yes.
We're reshooting last week's episode this week.
Yes.
Isn't that fun?
Isn't it great?
Yes. Technology is wonderful. Right, now...
Except when it's annoying and you want to hit it with a hammer.
What happened in 1667?
Yes, on this day in 1677, a French...
1667?
1667. Numbers is hard. Numbers is hard. French physician Jean-Baptiste Denis performs the first blood transfusion.
Great.
It went horribly wrong because they didn't realise about blood types. So it failed, but they did it.
Well, wouldn't that be infections and all sorts of weird shit? Yeah,
they didn't have germ theory until, at least 100 years. Louis Pasteur was at least 100 years later, so yes.
Nice.
They didn't know the germ theory until a lot later too. 1876, Custer's last stand, Battle of Little Bighorn.
Yes, the end of General George Armstrong Custer. 1929, Herbert Hoover authorises the building of the Hoover Dam.
It was originally called the Boulder Dam, but they decided, he made it happen, so we'll call it the Hoover Dam.
Yes. 1956, Packard cars became no more. The last Packard rolls off the assembly line on this day in 1956.
And you missed one, because in 1950...
Oh yeah, a little known policing action called the Korean War.
Yes.
Started on this day in 1950.
Yes, which technically has never ended.
No,
they're still technically at war with each other.
Yes, they are.
Yes, so it is actually. It's called between North and South Korea. It's called the demilitarized zone. It is actually the most militarized zone in all of the world.
Yes. It was a policing action, not technically a war either.
Yeah, but it was a conflict.
It's a conflict. Yes, it's definitely a conflict. But in United Nations, they were.
It was a policing action. Yes, and MASH, the TV show set in the Korean War, went longer than the Korean War. Well, the actual tiny bit. Yes.
The actual, 3 times.
Yes.
As long.
As I said, technically, it's not technically over, but because they've only signed an armistice, not a treaty. But yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Well, that's right. When World War One, when you see World War One, 1914 to 1918. And then you see other things that say 1914 to 1919. Because 1919 was when they signed the treaty that officially ended World War One.
Yeah, 1918 was when the armistice.
When the armistice was signed, that's
right. Yeah.
Okay, 2009. Michael Jackson dies of a drug overdose on this day. Yes. Okay, now, we're going to talk about something interesting. It's an invasion of sorts.
Yes, England invaded Iceland. Sort of.
Well, they definitely invaded Iceland, but...
They showed up with guns, pretty much.
England decided that because Iceland was neutral in World War II, and England didn't like Iceland supplying things to Germany. I mean, not that Iceland would supply a huge amount of anything to anybody,
but they just didn't care.
So
you have your own little tiff over there, we're just whatever.
So Iceland said, no, we're neutral, we'll sell to you, we'll sell to Germany. And England went, no. So we will treat you like a belligerent ally. And Iceland went, no, we're neutral, bugger off. So England decided that they would invade and take control of Iceland so that the Germans could not, and stuff could not be exported to Germany. So the powers that be in London decided to organise this invasion. They codenamed Operation Fall. Well, first off, they didn't have enough equipment for the Royal Marines that they were going to send, so the Royal Marines had to go under-equipped. Then they realised they didn't have enough transport for what equipment and Royal Marines they had, so the little bit of equipment that the Royal Marines had, a lot of it had to stay behind. So by the time that they finally got to Iceland, they disembarked, because Iceland doesn't have a standing army, or didn't have then and still doesn't have a standing army now. So by the time they disembarked and marched into Reykjavik and took over control of communications and you know, everything that might be used to aid an enemy, that was all they had was policemen, and policemen just stood aside because they really weren't trained or armed to take on an army. And the only real act of resistance was a very disgruntled Icelander who walked up to a Royal Marine and stubbed his cigarette out on the Royal Marines' machine gun. So there you had 746 British Royal Marines, commanded by a Colonel Robert Sturgis. Sturgis? Yeah. Yes, they were there, and it went from bad to worse to ridiculous. The invasion of Iceland on the 10th of May 1940.
Yes. And the only casualty was the guy that popped himself on the way over.
Yes, the only casualty of the entire action was a Royal Marine who committed suicide on the trip from England to Iceland.
So he didn't actually die in active combat?
No, he was in an active war zone, but no, he committed suicide.
Right.
So it was very, very odd and very, very weird.
Yeah. Well, had they had any of that particular those units they sent over? Had they seen any active combat before then?
Don't know. Don't actually know. By 1940, probably not, because remember that the war wasn't even a year old. And
well, in Europe anyway, Asia had gone on for the last several years.
Well, 1933, roughly, that Japan had invaded China. But yes, in Europe, the European war was late 1939, the end of summer, really. 1939, early August, early autumn. So you know, it was considered the phony war, where not much happened. That's when the Battle of the River Plate happened at the end of '39 to make it really into a shooting war.
Yeah.
So it was a very, very strange. Why England couldn't leave Iceland alone, I don't know. Why they decided they had to invade,
but didn't do anything much anyway.
No, well, it was essentially a staging post, moving aircraft across from United States to England and stuff like that. They staged through Iceland. They also formed up convoys for the Russian. Russian convoys formed up around Iceland and then headed over through the Arctic Circle, which was hell all on its own. Yes, so that was a very strange. Yes, if it could have gone wrong and did go wrong, and yes,
it was Murphy's invasion. If it didn't go wrong,
yes,
could go wrong, did go wrong.
Yes, well, I mean, essentially, the Royal Marines turned up with their weapons, whatever ammunition they could carry, and what provisions they could carry on their back, essentially.
Yeah.
So, shortage of transport, a shortage of equipment.
Shortage of clothing.
It's lucky that Iceland didn't organise the population, because they could have actually resisted.
Yeah, I don't know what gun laws Iceland had back then, but...
Well, the hunting wouldn't have been a big thing in Iceland unless it was seals or something.
Yeah, I mean, also seals very high fat content, so it'll get you through, and you can burn the fat. But yeah, that's about it. Yes, and fishing would be more, because being an island and everything, fishing would be more common. Yes.
Okay, who got Bonderated?
Well, here we go. You got Bonderated, 1886. Henry Harold Arnold.
Hap Arnold, yes. His
English
nickname was Happy because his just general expression, his face looked like he was smiling, but he actually had quite a sour demeanour.
Yes. Yes, commanding US Army Air Force during World War II. 1900, Lord Louis Mountbatten of Burma.
Yes, Lord Louis, he's the uncle of Prince of Wales, Prince Charles. He was killed by the IRA and they blew up his boat.
Rude of them.
Yes, very rude of them. Yes, Lord Louis. Now, actor June Lockhart. Anybody who's ever watched an episode of Lost in Space, she played the mum.
Oh, right. You missed one. 1903. You might have heard of a little novel called 1984. The guy who wrote it, George Orwell, born in this date, 1903.
Yes, so of course, a link to us. What do we call our mascot?
George, because it was made in 1984.
Yes, so there you go.
I've not seen the movie. The movie itself is on stand, and I keep meaning to watch it. Of 1984. No one's come up with 2084 though.
No, that'd be interesting actually. 2084. Let's see.
Because basically
you wouldn't have to try and calculate that.
Yeah, 2084. Well, I mean, I'd turn 98 that year if I was still alive. But
You probably will be.
Well, maybe. But yeah, no, it'd be because some of the things that 1984 predicted have sort of come true, and there are some concerns, particularly the internet privacy and what have you. So,
yeah, it just makes the world smaller. Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, American singer Carly Simon, her famous song was "You're So Vain," among many other huge hits that she had. She was born on this day in 1945.
And in 1952, Tim Finn.
Split Ends.
They're from Split Ends because they're from New Zealand because they're Split Ends.
Yes, and his brother's probably more famous. His brother Cornelius is probably more famous.
Cornelius.
Yes.
Cornelius Finn.
Yes.
Hmm.
Doesn't use that name though.
Oh,
Neil Finn.
Neil Finn. Yeah. There we go. The tubes will warm up eventually. There we go. 1961.
Ricky Gervais.
Ricky Gervais, comedian and very outspoken against religion person, Ricky Gervais. And in 1963, George Michael.
The recently departed George Michael.
Yes. And I think he did a lot for the LGBT community because he himself was gay. So he did a lot for the gay community in the 80s.
Yes, poor old George. Basically partied himself to a standstill.
Pretty much, yeah. Anyway, that's us for another week, fortnight, week.
Look under your seat. One of us has got the subscribe button below us.
One of us has got a subscribe button below us. I think it's him.
I can't see it.
You can't. It's down there somewhere.
So, be nice. Subscribe. We like people who subscribe.
We like you.
Yes.
And we'll see you on the dark side because we do in fact have cookies.
Yeah, we just finished them. They were yummy.
Yeah.
Bye.
Bye.